Welcome to Vahagraphy Talk number 27. What's up, fellas? Hello, Simon from Ordinary Filmmaker. Our special guest, Chuck. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Welcome to Vahagraphy Talk. Nice to have you here, Simon. How you doing, man?
It's my pleasure. This is the first time I'm a guest instead of streaming, and it's a nice switch.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you here.
My pleasure.
You have a big presence on YouTube. We all watch your videos and the news that you put out, and I want to thank you for your, hard work on there.
Well, there's a secret to me starting the channel. If you guys want to hear it,
Sure.
Absolutely.
I had a Canon 70D going back to 2019, and it was old, and I was waiting for Canon to deliver something, and they just weren't. And I started looking at, so I looked at everything. I really got to learn an awful lot about the different cameras. Well, Canon disappointed. No 24 frames per second, and they took away all I in the 90D. So I thought, that's it. I'm switching to Sony. Where's the A7S III? But something happened along the way. I was watching a Camera Conspiracies video, and I thought, hey, how hard can this be? And of course, that started a few weeks later. I just started putting out videos, and I started my own channel.
Wow, you're doing great. You're blowing up. You're 2 years in. You're 2 years in, right?
2 years and probably 2 years. And I started October 2019, like October the 27th.
I want to welcome everybody here in the chat as well. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to have you all here. And, this is a good chance to ask Simon questions about cameras, video cameras, even lighting, right?
Oh, that's one of the first lessons you learn.
That's good. So how did you're video centric, right? You're a videographer first.
Yeah. And I tried to come up with a name for my channel that would kind of encompass that. But for a lot of people, they kind of think I'm just like a Spielberg kind of thing, which is not the point. It's more of, I used to do stills, but then with the birth of my son, I switched over to video because there was something magical about video. It touched on more emotions. It touched on the visual, of course. It touched on the auditory. And if you scored it right, I just got shivers down my back now thinking of something. You can feel video if you do it all right. And so I was just hooked, and I'm not against stills, but whenever I try to go out shooting and doing a bunch of stills, I might shoot 20 minutes of stills. I spend 2 hours shooting video.
You got to tell me, because I mean, we make video. I make videos on YouTube. Chuck has live streams and videos. I'm gonna ask you about your little secrets, how you get the news. You've been first in a few things, right?
Yeah, and lately I've been beating out Canon rumors, and we are all competitors. People don't realize this. We're all competitors, but we all work together. We're friends, we're colleagues, and we help each other out. But people don't realize this, but I check the news. I check all the sources, all the feeds 24/7. I'm an old guy, so when I wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or get some water, I quickly check some feeds. And if we have a Nikon Z9 announcement or a Canon R7 or whatever it is, something big, I'm going downstairs. I start recording.
You're dedicated.
Dead, I think, is right. You know what? This is partly a hobby. My son goes to bed around 7, 8. And when I started the channel, he was in bed by 7. My wife didn't get home till midnight. I'm not one of those person that sits happy and binge watches TV for that time. Mm-hmm. I have to do something with my mind. And I was stuck at home. So what better thing to do than, hey, start a YouTube channel. How hard can it be?
Yeah, absolutely.
You put out videos every day almost, and multiple sometimes.
Yeah, so I learned a lesson early on. What I used to do is kind of look and see all the news, and I do one video with a whole bunch of news in it. It'd be longer. It was harder on my brain to switch gears and do everything right. And it took longer to get the news out. So it was defeating my vision of being first to market with news and rumors on camera gear, content creation, yada, yada. So what I started to do is thought, well, wait a minute. I'll record 3 videos in a row. It might only take me 20 minutes or 25 minutes. I'll do them all at once. I'll edit them as separate videos, get one out, and then get the next one out. And this allows me to do it in a timely manner during the week when I actually have a day job.
Yeah. I think that's what makes you special, is the fact that you have a day job and you're still doing all this. Because you're pumping out some videos, man. You've got editing down to a science.
I really do. In my day job, I'm an enterprise architect, and enterprise architecture is all about strategic alignment. It's about understanding what your vision is, your goals and objectives, and you have marching orders. You understand workflow and how to optimize what you're doing. So I have all my presets set. So when I go downstairs, boom, boom, everything's on, record, sit in chair, start recording. Then I come upstairs, the Angelbird SSD gets plugged in the back. I use one of these simple things for the audio. It plugs in, bring them in, synchronize, slap on an audio preset, a videos preset, and then I just power through it. Yeah. And I listen, and this is why sometimes mistakes will get out. I actually listen to my video at double the speed when I'm editing to help.
Yeah, right.
Wow,
hey, Jeff Breed, I know he's in your he's in the comment section all the time in your videos. I see him everywhere, but he's always in here with us as well. So he's asking, when are the Black Magic rumors going to start?
Well, there's something out today, and I didn't have a chance to. I'd probably be working on it right now, but I was thinking about getting ready in the mindset for your live stream. I want to answer the question that was posed to me just a little while ago. I didn't get to it. Where do I get my information from? And there's multiple sources. So during the day, what I consider to be North American time or European time, I'm checking Canon rumors, canonrumors.com.co. I'm checking the new camera. I'm checking all the news feeds. I have apps on my phones that basically group news on camera. So I'll check there as soon as I get out of bed in the morning to see if there's anything there. I check the foreign stuff. I check Japanese press in Japanese, and I use translation services to translate. So I'm getting it from all different sources. And what I try to do very quickly is I prioritize, which is the most important. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, if it's not high importance, it gets pushed off until the next day. If it's urgent, I usually drop what I'm doing, unless of course it's workday, then I'm kind of stuck. So what I try to do during the workday, if it's a big news story, I'll try to do it before I start work because I'm up a few hours before work. I have a 15-minute break. I have a 60-minute lunch. And so what I'll try to do is record a video under 8 minutes. That gives me about 4 minutes to edit it. And then because I'm using a really fast machine, I can actually have, it's already rendered by the time I'm done, and it maybe takes less than a minute or a couple of minutes to export. And I have a high-speed link to get things up quickly. So I can actually, my quickest on a news story is, I think, 26 minutes from lights on to uploaded to YouTube.
Wow.
Wow. You have it down packed.
You have to, otherwise I couldn't do this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't imagine you could, because you're constantly feeding content to YouTube, and that's great. I mean, everybody looks for that. Everybody wants to tune in and see what the latest word is, whether it's going to, whether it's about their camera or not, because watching the competition is really like watching your own brand grow, because they're going to respond. And you brought that up in a couple of the videos talking about the Nikon Z9. The one thing that people might want to beat you up about is the Nikon is dying. And I saw you smile there. So, I don't think Nikon was ever dying, but yeah, I know what they were doing. At least you brought it back to closer to reality, I think, when you said that, well, they were restructuring, reorganizing, and quite a few things. But, the Z9 didn't come out of thin air, so they knew what they were doing. That was definite. But anyway, other than that, again, like I said, I like watching your content for all the news that you provide.
Well, I appreciate that. And you know what? I'm one of those people that is quite happy to admit I got something wrong. I do have a financial background. I used to work on the street for an investment bank. I used to follow Peter Lynch. I used to be actively investing. So I understand the markets. And my analysis of Nikon wasn't based on inside information I had, because there's very little coming out of Nikon. It was what we were seeing in the press. And sometimes the words I use to convey something don't always carry across, or sometimes I'll use a phrase and then I lose people and they don't hear my explanation. And what I was kind of trying to convey with Nikon is things aren't looking good. Things are dire. Things are rough. And as a Nikon owner, I know it's got to be stressful, just like it was being Canon and going like, the 90D, are you kidding me? The EOS R, are you kidding me? Sony was trouncing Canon back then. And so when I started to cover Nikon again, people think like, oh, here's a Canon guy, he's going to beat up on us. And on the first few videos, it's the same with Sony. The first few videos, I got beat up pretty bad. So one thing I've learned to do now is whenever I cover a new brand, like I'm starting to cover OM1 or the GH6 or May 31st at the Fujifilm X Summit, some announcements there, I'm being very careful in the words I choose because it's not what I say, it's the perception of what I say.
Yes. Which
so
is
I'm trying to be very sensitive to that.
That's a bone Vahagan and I both have to pick with some folks, that just the way they say it.
Yeah, that's right. And we'll be doing a video soon on that. We have a question, Agnetha. Like professional photographers, you must like to shoot with full frame sensors rather than smaller size sensors?
Not exactly. No, I miss APS-C because one thing I learned when I started shooting full frame is, I need an ND filter, or I got to be smart how I shoot with the sun behind me kind of stuff. I learned this lesson the hard way. I liken it to cars. If you buy a small car in Europe, you can buy a very expensive, very nice car. But here in North America, generally small cars are considered to be not very good. You want a better car, you're going to buy a bigger car. And it's almost the same thing with cameras. If you want really good features, you want a really good IBIS system, you want very little rolling shutter, you want detailed 4K video or 6K video, most of the times you're not going to get that in a lower cost camera. So I went to full frame, not because I was sold on the magic of full frame, but because I wanted, and I have this list, I created a mind map of what I wanted in a new camera. And one of the mandatory requirements was, I want a detailed 4K video with accurate color.
Mm-hmm.
That requires a whole lot of specifications, and that eliminated even the 90D, which I got to say produces very good 1080 when you take that 4K and downsample it. But yeah, it's not. I do appreciate and love full frame, but I also love APS-C because the great thing about a good high-end APS-C camera, you can take it outside. You don't have to even think about variable ND filters when you're shooting video. With stills, it's different because you have that shutter that you can play around with. In video, you can't play around with your shutter. You're kind of locked in.
That's great. I asked you about if you had any insiders, but it seems like you're like us. You read what you read and you report on it.
A little bit. I do. So like anything in life, none of us are in our teens here, but I'm sure each one of you understands the importance of networking.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a few people, like recently I had Andreas on the channel. He does, among many things, Sony Alpha Rumors. And I had Craig Blair, who for 8+ years was doing Canon Rumors. And those relationships really help because sometimes I've got an idea for a video and nothing's been posted. So I'll fire off an email saying, hey, I'm going to do this. Does this sound about right? Am I going in the wrong direction? And I'll get something unofficial back, which allows me to go and do something. So it's like I'm checking sources. I do have some, but I wish I had the sources that Craig has at Canon Rumors.
And
incredible.
Peter over at Nikon Rumors.
Yes. Yeah. And they both know each other too.
I know.
I saw that interview you did with Canon Rumors.
Yeah.
Where he had that issue with some YouTubers. Posting multiple videos, Simon, do you do a lot of editing or do you post YouTube live videos to get them up faster?
No. So I do a lot of editing, but what I try to do, and you'll notice a change over the last month, but generally there's not a lot of cuts and it's just me doing a talking piece and I just go boom right the way through. And I try to hit the news right away. I don't waste your time talking 5 minutes, 8 minutes about, hey, let's do some background so you're watching and the ads are playing. No, I hit the news right away. You might get everything you need in the first minute, and then I do my analysis and opinion.
Yeah.
So, but because I've got a powerhouse editing machine now, I've been able to reduce the amount of time I spend on each video from on an average of an hour down to about half an hour. So I spend more time editing. So you're seeing a few more zoom cuts, and I noticed this with Rene. He has a Mac channel. I forgot what his full channel is, but he uses zoom cuts too, and it keeps the pace going. So I'm experimenting with that now because I've got more time.
Teleprompter notes or what?
Yes and no.
Because you seem to flow real well through the video.
When I first started, I used the TMP 100 teleprompter, and it was great. But one night, there was news coming out on Canon, I think a 1DX Mark III. It was late at night. I didn't have time to do a teleprompter. I just simply went for it and did one take because it was late. And people said, wow, the personality comes through. This is so much better.
Right.
Dump the teleprompter. And Chuck, you know that when you've been doing something long enough, the stuff is up there.
Right.
And so I think I'm at a point now where I know enough, like if it's Canon or Nikon, like the Z9, it's easy to talk about. If the Z8 comes out, then I know enough about the Z9 and what Canon's doing with the R5, because I imagine those are similar. There's the Z7 as well. It's easy. I'm not having to remember new information.
Right. Yeah, as long as you stay on top of it, I know it definitely makes a difference, which is why I go to school every time or right before my live streams. I've been following it, but then I go back and review my notes.
Yeah.
So I'm prepped and ready, and I can begin talking about it, in the stream. Although my subscribers will tell you that I stumble quite often, but hey, I'm real.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I want to just say hello, Jasperit, Hassan, Tay, Ryan Troy, what's up? Ike is in the house, Photo Me Ike, Nick Ken. We got viewers from all over the world, Simon. So, we're happy to be doing this. Right here, this question right here, is this true or false?
Well, they're up there. That's why I don't cover Black Magic nearly as much. Sony is the same thing too. Sony is very, very tight with their information. It's really hard, and people will beat up Andres at Sony Alpha Rumors, but they don't understand how hard it is to get information. And what we have to understand is when we're talking about rumors, it's coffee talk. They're rumors. It's small talk. It's us, like we're doing right here, having a conversation. Don't take it too seriously, but it helps give people an idea of what might be coming relatively soon.
Hey, I know I gotta back out for a minute here and let Vahagan get in, but how much do you go by gut feeling? I mean, I like to see myself as a common sense kind of person, and I look at everything going on and try to put a picture together in my head. That's what leads me in the direction that I go when I'm talking about things like, I continuously say the Z8 will be announced at a minimum this year. And I have so many naysayers, not necessarily in our audience, but elsewhere, no, it's not going to happen and blah, 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 blah. But I just feel it. Is that ever part of what you're putting out?
Well, you're calling it gut instinct, but what it is it's your experience being in the field. And both you and I know that because of Nikon and Canon, they've basically been like this for decades. When we see the Z8, and people said to me, well, it doesn't make sense because you got the Z7. I said, okay, yes, from a stills point of view. But if you look at the video side, one thing Nikon hasn't answered is the R5. So when I look at the Z8, I know it's going to at least equal the R5.
Exactly.
Or likely be a bit better.
Exactly.
Maybe not overheat.
and we know that the R1, I keep preaching that too. The R1, when it is announced, is going to be a fantastic camera. There's no doubt in my mind, especially since they've had the chance now to watch Nikon with the Z9. So they're probably not in a super hurry because they've got an R3, kind of a placeholder. It's not the R1, but it's just a placeholder to satisfy sports and wildlife photographers. Well, as much as it would wildlife, but anyway, now I don't want to take everything away from Vaughan here. It's his dream, but yeah, for me, gut feeling, common sense, looking at what facts are known and what's historical, but throwing away some of the historical because that's now been trumped by some of the new things that Nikon seems to be doing. So, and I just try to put it together in my head, but I have a strong feeling and I'm going to go with it. I don't mind, like you said, after the fact saying, well, I was wrong. I'm not leading anybody down a path they're going to lose money. So
Yeah, and I'm very conscientious when it comes to what I do. I understand that people take what I say seriously. I understand people that make buying decisions. So I'm very, very careful not to lead people in the wrong direction, because the last thing I want to hear is somebody bought a camera based on something I said and it's ruined their business or something negative. And I don't want that. This is not my day job. I'm not here. I'm here to help. I'm here to create a community where we can get together and we can talk and discuss. I'm not here to stir up anything.
Hey, I applaud you for that. Just the fact that you don't want to steer somebody wrong on something that's going to come back to haunt you down the road or whatever. So many YouTubers don't care. They'll say whatever it is, whatever they need. They're either protecting a brand or they're picking on another brand to support their channel or their whatever. And I don't think they stop and think about how that may affect people. When they're giving them erroneous information, without regard to the consequences. And I applaud you. You got to be careful in that, and that's just being a moral YouTuber.
Yeah,
again,
that's good
thank you for that.
That's good that you take that into consideration, because there's some guys out there that have million plus subscribers and they just spread out wrong information and just show their favoritism. I don't know if these guys are getting paid, or it's just so obvious. Sometimes they just trash another camera manufacturer, and it's just wrong. It's just wrong,
Yeah, I think it comes to this, this is going to get a little deep for just a moment, but with humanity, quite often it becomes us versus them. And it's fine when it's the Blue Jays against the Detroit Tigers to have a little bit of rivalry about Boston against Toronto, because these are rivalries that we have in baseball. But we tend as humans to sometimes take that a little further. It's Nikon versus Canon. Well, not in a serious way. Yes, it's in a fun way, because I grew up with Nikon and Canon, and to me, who was the best? Well, usually whoever released the latest camera.
Right.
And they would constantly leapfrog each other. But I just, and this is one of the reasons why you see me commenting so much in my videos. It's trying to build a community. I put all the filters on, because the last thing, anybody who's swearing or doing anything negative, that's not what we want here. This is not what we're trying to do.
Do you get that? I mean, do you read the filtered comments?
I used to. I check in once in a while, and it can be pretty rough sometimes, and I figure it's best for me not to read it. Now, sometimes it traps really good things, like it'll trap the word asinine, but sometimes it traps regular comments. And I have to click the check mark to add that comment to the video. So do you? I know you're busy. You have a day job, and you're doing this, and so much time. But do you watch other YouTubers? I used to do it a lot. I still check in once in a while when things are slow. But when I'm done this, I want to watch maybe some Star Trek, or I want to watch a documentary. Nothing negative in the world, because I've got to the point where there's so much negativity that it really affects me. So I try to watch like anything to do with space exploration, understand cosmology, or super string theory, the macro versus the micro. I really love that stuff. It charges my mind.
Nice. Yeah, because I mean, how much of doing videos on YouTube do you allocate in your life? Like throughout a 24-hour period, you do your day job, you sleep, spend time with family. How much of that goes to YouTube and everything?
If there's no videos, maybe 5 or 10 minutes just checking sources. If it's a video, you can assume that I probably spent 30 minutes to 2 hours on that video, from comments to production. Most videos, like if it's under 12 minutes, it's usually no more than an hour, and then some comments every now and then. So, and hi, Nick Ann. Nick Ann, I see a lot of the people who are watching on your stream that are that watch my channel as well.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. Do you have a preferred video format for YouTube?
It's so funny you say that. It's not so much that I have a preferred video format. I have a video format that I insist on using. One of the things I try and do, and one of the reasons why when I do live streams, I keep my glasses like this, is I'm trying to show people what it's like if you put a camera through its paces, like the R5 with its autofocus system. And I always record. If I'm doing a studio piece, it's always 8K oversampled 4K, 8-bit. So it's obviously 8 bits, so 420. H.265, because H.265 I can export quicker and the file size are half the size, so I can upload quicker. So that's why I use H.265, not because it's recommended, because I think H.264 is, but YouTube doesn't give me any problems. If I'm shooting outside, it's always Canon Log 3 with the Cinema Gamut color space. I just, wow, it's powerful. And now that I understand actually how to use that camera almost 2 years later, it's just staggering how good the colors are, how the dynamic range works. When you're at a camera level like a Z9 and you know what you're doing, you're shooting 8K oversampled 4K, the detail's incredible, because I am a docu type shooter. I want to represent life as it is, as best as possible. So the reason why I shoot 8K oversampled 4K 8-bit in the studio is so people can see what 4K can look like if you're shooting, because when you upload to YouTube, trust me, it's nowhere near as good as what I see on my screen. And I had the Village Mirror over once. I said, look, here's what we shot, and wait, you see it on YouTube, and it's night and day, the difference of quality.
What do you use for editing? Which program?
Final Cut Pro.
Final Cut Pro. Okay. In a few words, I want you to tell me, what do you think of this latest 2.0 Nikon firmware?
Well, I think it's terrific. I mean, to quote Jordan and Chris from DP Review, it's double 1.0.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny when they did that. It really is a huge update. But you see, what I think, great, you got Apple ProRes, and yes, you got NRAW. Now, to me, NRAW wouldn't help me because Final Cut doesn't support it yet. But it's not the be all end all. Sometimes when you're shooting NRAW, you're going to lose a lot of detail versus the 8K oversampled 4K mode. So I love RAW. Here's the difference between professionals and amateurs. The professionals know when to use which video format and when not to. And I think NRAW is great. I think RAW is great, but not all the time. Most of the times I shoot all I, and if you're going to shoot outside, learn log, because it's like getting off a plane into a tropical paradise. Your eyes just can't believe what you see. And log is truly incredible. I highly recommend log. But as far as the other things, so yes, you get Apple ProRes RAW HQ, but not in 8K. You do get 8.3K oversampled 8K. You get the 8K oversampled 4K modes, which are really great. What is nice is you definitely get improvements in the autofocus system. And you know what? That's never a bad thing. No matter how good Canon, Nikon, and Sony get, improvements are always good. But there's some other nice things too, like the pre and post capture that you get with it.
Oh, yeah.
120 frames per second in the EVF. I mean, really? I thought that was a hardware thing, right?
Yeah. Well, it's great that because I know you're a Canon shooter.
I am.
Right? So, but it's great that you're talking so positively about Nikon too. It's like you're fair.
I love technology where it helps. Yeah. And to me, it's camera technology. The only reason I bought Canon is because my brother had a camera. It was a Canon, and he said, yeah, no, get the 50D. It's a good camera. And I did, and it was a good camera. If he had a Nikon, I would have bought a Nikon. I didn't know enough. Of course, you know this. It doesn't matter how good your camera brand is. Once you're in it, it's very expensive, and very few, other than a few YouTubers, are happy to switch brands all the time. It's very, very expensive.
Yeah, right. I just have an issue with just people on influencers just saying stupid shit, and that shit doesn't make sense. Hey, we have a question from Albert. Do you believe the Fuji X-H2 camera will be a game changer because it will be able to compete with full frame cameras, particularly at higher ISOs?
I wouldn't worry about competing with full frame. So here's the thing. I'm going to go back in time a little bit. The Canon 5D Mark II changed everything. Canon led with full HD video, and forever irritated photographers that just wanted a photo-only camera. Sony took over with 4K, led 4K, but then Canon confused everybody in 2020 by coming out with 8K RAW, with IBIS, with autofocus, with Canon log, and people are going like, what's the catch? Well, we found out overheating to a degree was a catch. So when we look at the H2 or the H2S, what to me could potentially, and this is assuming, this is a big assumption here that the rumors have it correct. If the H2 is $24.99, can do 8K UHD video, wow. And if I can do it without a huge rolling shutter, because the thing is too, you don't want a huge rolling shutter. Some, no problem. But I think I'm watching see, this is where I start to get all the cameras mixed up because they start to sound the same. The XH2, I think potentially, wow, 40 megapixels, $2,500, 8K UHD. Are you kidding me? I was expecting that the S was going to be $2,500. I had to double check. I'm like, you're kidding me? 8K at $2,500. So what if it's only UHD? That's what I shoot.
Yeah. Hey, Charles, what's up? He's saying you're the real deal, Simon.
Well, Vagan, I worked very hard at this first year of the channel. I worked very hard just to try and create a persona for myself that was like me. That was me. Because in front of a teleprompter, so many things you're thinking when you're recording a video, you stop being you. You start to become more serious. So I'm working harder and harder to just be me because, well, I know it's just the kind of person I am. I'm the guy that no matter how serious the discussion is in the room, I always crack a joke if I can.
That's cool.
Well, that's when the conversation's real, when you can have the real banter. It's not trying to harm each other, but you just open up and, get the banter going and talk about, especially in the photography world. There's so many things I take issue with right now in the photography world. It's really gotten very poisonous in so many forums now. It's just, I don't know. I wonder if these people actually enjoy photography anymore. The way they carry on in the forums, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Before you answer that, Roy, this question, I mean, people do because they have 1 million+ subscribers, and whoever it is, there's a group of people that will take them for, gospel. So
you got to take what you put out there seriously because people do take you seriously. And one of the things Craig at Canon Rumors was talking about is how, and he didn't name names. Well, he did behind the scenes, but I respect him and I won't give out that information. But some channels, it's not so much that they encourage bad behavior, but they do nothing to stem it.
Right.
Which is almost the same to me, right? It's like telling a half-truth. It's still a lie because you're not showing us all the information. So yeah, people do take YouTubers seriously, and we live in a world where information is created like that. And I even do this in my videos. The last video where I talked about Nikon and that there will be 50+ lenses by 2025. Well, we're looking at a presentation and some people are saying, there's no way they're going to come out with 50 lenses over the next 3 years. No, but there's a pretty good chance with about 25 already that they'll have 50+. That's still aggressive at 8 a year, but not as aggressive as Canon trying to do 8 lenses a year for the next, 3 years. It's in this economic situation. It's, to me, I think good luck. We'd love to see it. And maybe, I don't know. I'd just like to see the prices not go up as much all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, Simon, nice shirt, by the way. Metallica, rock and roll.
I'm going to buy some more this Thursday. We were talking behind the scenes about, I used to, love bands like Metallica, Into Sandman, and for me, it was the guitar riffs that really, and the drums, and even Def Leppard too. It's not a serious metal band, but the harmony. And I couldn't afford the shirts when I was younger, whereas now, they got a place in the mall, so the prices are lower, and get a couple of shirts. I got a coupon here for my next one, so nice. I'm going to go in there and get.
That's hot topic, yeah.
Yeah, I want to get AC/DC. They didn't have my size.
Yeah, we have a Jeffrey. He's when it comes to technical terms about cameras, we go to him to ask him questions, right, Jeff?
Jeffrey has the new Z9 manual memorized.
Wow.
So for those of us that don't ever open the manual, it's nice to have a Jeffrey around to tell us where we're wrong and why we can't find what we want.
John Ishii in the house, photojournalist from Malaysia. What's
Good
going
morning.
on? Yeah, that's fantastic what you do. I'll ask you a question. You use pretty much all the brands, right? When it comes to video.
I try to cover all the brands. I always look at it this way: is it relevant? Is it newsworthy? I've seen a lot talking about new lenses coming out by Sony and others, and I know from the past that putting out a video on just one of those, people aren't going to care. There's certain lenses like the Nikon 800 millimeter, and look at how they just trounced Canon by a third of the price.
Yeah. That was an interesting video you did and talking about that. A lot of comments on your video talking about how Nikon could do that.
Yeah.
Well, it's exciting because we see everything going up in price, and that price point of around 6,000 US, we can look at that and go like, that's something I could potentially save for. It's way up there. It's on the top shelf, but maybe. Whereas $20,000, no, that's a car.
That's what sold so many Z9s is people that said, you know what? I never, ever consider a flagship. However, I can stretch a little bit more now and potentially have a flagship camera. And I think that's what happened. That's why you can't get your hands on one. I mean, other than the production issues, but so many people decided to stretch and go that far.
Yeah, I'm putting up the phone number just in case anybody wants to call in and ask Simon a question directly. So there's the number. Somebody put, are you a Rush fan? Who was that? Todd. What's going on, Todd? You know Geddy Lee from Rush? He is a birder photographer.
We used to live just down the road from him.
Are you kidding me?
I am not lying. Now, when I say live down the road, this was their summer home, right?
Where is this at?
This was in Roches Point, Ontario, spelled R-O-C-H-E-S. It's a French. They call it Roches Point there, but it's a French word. So I just don't want to say Roches. But it's a very well-to-do, affluent area, and we lived up there. That was our home, whereas everybody else, it was their summer home or their Canadian home. And the band in the early 80s, I believe, or late 70s, or at least Rush, they had one of the estates there. And when we moved in, it was all the talk. Oh, have you talked to Geddy Lee? Do you know Rush? And
have you actually seen them drive by or something?
No, we got there a little too late. Now, I did meet some other people like the Phantom of the Opera, and it was incredible. We went for one of these parties, and you have no idea what it's like when you're outside, summer air, 75 degrees, you're having a nice tasty beverage, whatever it is, and all of a sudden the Phantom of the Opera sings outside.
I don't think we can ignore influencers, but we must remember a review of a camera is not ownership of a camera, and we should take their opinions as just that of opinions.
I agree. And what I try to do, one of the reasons I bought the R5, because it was basically every cent I'd made on YouTube up until that point. I felt that because I'm not a Tony Northrup, I don't have a huge budget. I can't afford 6 cameras. I can't afford Nikon, Canon, Sony. I thought, I can be different by not only talking about the rumors up to, but also buy the camera day one and do reviews, do all the testing. You want to know, okay, I'll do 4K 60, see how long I can go. And I did it at 80 degrees, 75 degrees, 60. And I learned that anything below 60 degrees, the Canon R5 didn't overheat.
Wow. That must have took a long time to do.
Oh, sure it did, but everyone was a video.
Have you played with the Z9?
No, I want to. See, this is the tough thing as being a small channel like I am.
Oh, you got 28,000 subscribers.
Yes, and people who watch me know, like I tell them how much I bring in each month, and it can vary. But I bought the R5, I bought the 24-105, and then I bought the 50 millimeter f1.2. That was 3,400 Canadian. Bought the 800 millimeter. I'm always buying stuff, and if I went to the Z9, which I would love to, now I'm back to square one, and I got to buy all the stuff again. So the Z9 here in Canada, you're looking at almost $10,000.
Wow, yeah.
Right. And so I have to think okay, I get the Z9, but now I won't be able to afford to get the R1. And I hope I'm looking forward to that day where I can get up there enough where I can shoot with, I can, let's say, get the big three, get a Canon, Nikon, and a Sony. Because that represents what, 85% market share?
Right.
And you can talk to almost everybody. And I think it will also give me a sense of credibility that, no, I'm not just a Canon person, right? And I look forward to that. But at this point, it's...
Well, somebody's got to get you a Z9, man. David Stewart is a fellow Canadian as well.
There's a few of us out there.
Yeah, there are a few in the chat. Few Canadians.
Canadians everywhere. If the Z9 was 6,500, it would be harder to spring for. Yeah, that $1,000 makes a big difference.
Huge.
And you say it the other way. I'm ready for a $3,800 camera. That's what I'm expecting. That's what I want. And Nikon comes out and says, well, here's the flagship that does all this, and it's only $5,500. That made a whole lot of people say, you know what? I'm gonna stretch it, and I'm gonna go after that. And the same thing, just as you were saying on the 800 millimeter 6.3. Yeah, it's not a 5.6, but what's a third of a stop? A lot of people are going to complain about it still, but $6,500 for an 800 millimeter prime that you can hand hold. I mean, I'll make the compromises and for that price, and that's a lens I would love to have. I mean, so what's next? What's coming next? And a lot of people are talking about inflation and everything else. All prices are going up. Okay, let's just say that's true, but does that mean Nikon is going to push theirs all the way up to where the competitors are, or does it mean their prices are going to go up equitable to what Canon and Sony are going to raise the prices and still be cheaper? I don't know. This is a great time to be in the market for a new camera for any brand. It's a great time.
I want to do a little bit of home economics if I can for just a moment. So I could go out and buy that Canon 800 millimeter for what? It's $17,000, right? Mm-hmm. Or I can get, let's see, what can I purchase? I can buy the Nikon Z9, the 800 millimeter 6.3. I can buy a 2 terabyte Angelbird CF Express card with a minimum sustained write speed of 1300. So that's good. Or maybe get 1 gigabytes because it's got 2 CF Express cards. And you know what? I still got money left over.
Yeah.
That's a huge value proposition. And I'm so happy to see, because when you first heard the price, you're thinking like, okay, is it because the camera is not as good? No. And I had some people say, I said, no, you look at the Z9, it beats the Sony, it beats whatever Canon has in their stills hybrid cameras. That Nikon Z9 is powerful. It only does 20 frames. Okay. It only does 20 frames per second, lossless, 45.7 megapixels. That's 1.2 gigabytes per second, where your maximum on any CF Express card is 1.48 right now. So if Sony truly was doing 30 lossless at 50, there's no way they could write it to a card because the cards can't handle it.
Right.
So you're trying to get people to understand that, you're getting 20 frames per second, but that's at lossless 45.7, 1.2 gigabytes per second. Look at 120 frames per second at 11 megapixels. Now you're talking about people like me, social media. I want to shoot a headshot. 11 megapixels is more than enough.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to ask you something because somebody commented about YouTube. There's a lot of YouTubers. I'm a photographer and YouTuber. Chuck, he's on YouTube. Photo Me Ike on here in the chats. YouTube. A few others. So you're transparent about what you actually make on YouTube? Really? Sure. Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Okay, so you have 28,000 subscribers.
Yep.
You get a lot of views. And me and Chuck were talking about this earlier today. You get a lot of views per video. I mean, you average a few thousand, right? And
at least.
Is that enough? Just AdSense alone, is that enough to maybe pay a car payment or a car note?
Okay, so I want to take your question. I want to give the answer you probably want instead of the answer that the question would give you. When I hit 12,000, the income that I'm getting now isn't that much bigger than 12,000. I'd say maybe it's 20 or 30% more, because those subscribers doesn't mean all those people are watching. So it's right. What you hit on is views matters more. When you're covering camera gear, such as the high-end cameras, you're going to get anywhere from around $6 to $8 per 1,000 views. I'm talking US dollars for everybody listening. December, you will get up to almost $10 or $11 per 1,000 views. Okay, so that's very, very important to know. So you can look at my videos, you can look at anybody doing cameras, you can look and see, oh, this person got 100,000 views, divide it by 1,000 times by, let's say, $6. You can tell how much money they made off that video. That's revenue stream one. Revenue stream two is affiliate links. And this is, again, I'm very careful here because, especially for Canadians in the room or those not in the United States, if you're buying from B&H, one thing you need to ask is, what is your warranty coverage? You might have a 6-year warranty on a Manfrotto. You bring it home to Ireland, and guess what? You don't have a warranty because that warranty for B&H is handled by a company in the US, and they will not support out of country. So you got to watch that. But I would say that affiliate links, and I only do B&H and a little bit of Amazon, and that's probably a good 15 to 20% of what I make off of the views. But there's another revenue stream. When companies send me, for example, I've got the Angelbird here, that's a 4 terabyte CF Express card, and they've sent me all these two to do reviews on. And I'm very thankful because we all know how expensive CF Express cards can be. And the great thing about that is it gives me the equipment I need, and I've got a Wii light here that's pointing at me, so lighting me up. I think it's only at 1% right now, if you can believe that. It's basically like a sun. So you've got 3 revenue streams: the products, which you can either keep the stuff and use it on your channel, or I can turn around and flip it for 70% of retail. So that gives you an idea of how much I bring in. Now, I don't add up annual because I buy and spend and I don't really worry about it. I keep a separate account and credit card for the channel so it doesn't touch the family.
Right.
So, yeah, so.
You seem like you're really balanced.
On an average month, $1 to $3 grand is average US.
Well, that's great, man. I mean, I'm happy for you. And I really appreciate you being open and talking about it because, you know, a lot of people, unfortunately, will jump on YouTube just to make money. And most of those
that's not why you do it.
yeah. And most fail miserably.
Yes.
But if you jump into it and you're just enjoying it and you stick with it, then there is the possibility that down the road you're going to see some revenue from it, and that's great. And I think it's wonderful. Your description of how the money moves is fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Simon.
So I have a vision, and one of the reasons why I got monetized within 2 months and 3 weeks.
Wow.
But I cheated. I applied enterprise architecture frameworks and principles to this channel. I set up a vision right away. I came up with goals and objectives, and my vision was to basically, and this is off the top of my head, I don't remember it exactly word for word, but to produce informative videos on news and rumors related to camera gear, content creation, and YouTube. And I pretty quickly started pivot to news and rumors because that's what the views that the analytics was telling me that people wanted. So I had my vision. If a video didn't relate to that, I didn't do it. So that gave me focus. Then I produced goals. And one of the goals is, yes, I did want to be monetized within 8 months. I wanted to make $100 to $200 US a month so I could buy a new camera every now and then.
Yeah. So
I wanted to improve my content creation skills. I wanted to improve my presentation skills, all things that would work in my day job that would help me be a better presenter. But I wanted to learn. I wanted to be better at filmmaking.
$1 to $3 grand. Is that Canadian or US dollars?
US.
That's pretty good. I mean, for that, that's great. How many videos do you have out right now?
750.
750. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Paul Webster is wondering, why don't you set the record straight here, Simon? Does Simon even take photos?
Watch all my videos, and you'll see every now and then I'll show you some photos I took when I was on Mount Washington in New Hampshire or Whiteface Mountain in New York. I still do. But, you know, with cameras like the Z9 and the R5, you can cheat a little bit now because it's so detailed, 8K over sample 4K. You can pull a still right out of a frame, and for most social media purposes or 4x6 prints, you can't tell too much of a difference. But I do. I love taking stills. And some lenses just beg me to take stills only. It's just like, I don't even want to shoot video with this lens. Yeah. It's all about stills.
Citizens asks, I know I've asked before, but what resolution frames output when using an external recorder?
So I've got the Ninja 5, not the 5 Plus, and I believe it caps out at 4K 60.
Mm-hmm.
As far as what wrapper you want, I choose Apple ProRes, but it has Avid as well, and I use 422. I don't bother with 444. It's just I'm just being silly if I do that.
Awesome. Yeah. That's great, and I love it that you're very transparent about what you do and how you do it. You got a system down, and that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I commend you, man. That's awesome. What as far as, so you use the R5, that's your camera of choice?
Primarily, yeah, because I can't really afford any others.
That's cool.
Let's get into what you think's coming.
This is the fun stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if that's okay, Vahagan.
Yeah, go for it. Let's do it.
Let's get into what you think's coming. I mean, okay, so we're again, we have Fuji shooters in here, and I think there may be a few that still have Canon cameras or do shoot Canon and as well. But let's just keep going with Nikon for a minute. I mean, they're the big buzz right now, and of course that makes me happy. I'm a Nikon shooter. But talking about the Z8, talking about the Z6 III and the Z7 III, we have no idea when these cameras are going to come out. You are aware, though, that Nikon has recently registered 2 more cameras, and we know absolutely nothing about them.
No. And even the Z8, as far as Nikon goes, the only one I'm really kind of focused on is the Z8 at this point, because everything else, it's so unvalidated that it's hard to really get a grip.
Yeah, it's all unvalidated. I mean, here we can just move into the fantasy world and talk about what we want, and maybe add a little bit of reality to why we think it could happen. I don't even want to go down the road of the R1 right now, because I know you're pursuing that heavily to try to get more and more information about the R1. But again, I think the R1's is going to be, a monster. No doubt about that. No ifs, ands,
well, we
or
know
buts.
what it's going to do, because all you have to do is look at the Sony Alpha 1 and the Nikon Z9.
Right.
And that gives you a rough platform. And I did a video on that. It's like, here's a good idea of what the R1's going to be. And we're going to go plus or minus on a couple of things.
So I love Nikon, but I bash Nikon pretty hard quite often about their marketing and communication. I mean, it's terrible in my opinion. And I always throw that in there. It's my opinion. Their communication and marketing is just terrible. So that said, I do believe that Nikon is on a roll, but they can't live on the Z9. The Z9 only got them back into the limelight, but they could quickly fade away. They need that gap camera. I call it the gap camera, whether it's going to be the Z8 or some other designation, but it has to be the camera that competes with the R5, the A7S III, and A7 IV. It has to be. That is the missing piece, I think, in their lineup, and they have to have it. And I believe it has to be this year. Even if it's a late year announcement, it has to be this year, because they're only going to ride this wave so long on the Z9. Fantastic camera. But where does the aspiring photographer, videographer, if he starts in the Z6, 7 series, what does he aspire to? Does he have to go all the way to a flagship? And right now, and we can all say we know that camera's coming, the Z8, let's just call it. We know it's coming, but people aren't going to spend money on, we know it's coming. They're going to want something more tangible.
No, but they will hold off spending until
Nikon
the roadmap is clear.
Nikon people will, but anybody that's looking at, I'm serious about this now. Now it's time to get out of the small ilk camera and find something that is more pro-like. They're looking for a brand. They know there's longevity. They know that it has a roadmap, and they can follow that roadmap up to someday, maybe a Z9 or a flagship. Maybe they don't even want a flagship, because, you hear the story. It's too big. It's too heavy, blah, blah, blah. what does Nikon have to offer if you're not looking at the Z9?
Well, I do this. We talked about our experience, our gut. I tend to look at roadmaps because camera companies are very predictable, especially Canon and Nikon. So what do we have? Well, I like to compare Nikon and Canon because they usually have cameras that complement each other. So the Z8 and the R5, they're going to complement each other really well. We've got the Z6 and the Z7. We've got the EOS R. That's going to need a refresh. But the Z6 and the Z7 are very good cameras. But on the entry level, the only person that has a full frame mirrorless camera for under $1,000 is Canon with the RP. And no surprises, it's a top seller in many markets, in the top 10.
All right.
It's great for photographers, not so much for video. It's rumored that Sony's going to be coming out with an entry level that'll either A, compete with the RP, as well as a camera that around the $1,500 price point. And I think it would be wise for Nikon to do the same thing. There's a hole. Very few people are trying to compete with Canon with that RP. They're letting Canon run with it. And it's not the high-end cameras that make all the money. It's the high-end APS-Cs. It's the entry-level full frames that usually bring in the bulk of the money in normal markets.
And it has to be the full frame too. The other problem is they're still competing with camera phones and everything else. The better the camera phones get, blah, blah, blah. But I think Nikon has decided they don't even want to fool with that market. You know, they said when the development announcement for the Z9 came out, they said that their plan moving forward is to stay in higher end cameras. And I don't see Nikon going back to, I mean, Z5 is it. They're not going any deeper into, I don't think.
Well, not right now. So here's the reason why we're seeing Z9s, Z8 coming. We're seeing the Canon R3, which to me doesn't make any sense at all. We're seeing the R5. Everything since 2020, there's a reason why we're seeing this path to high end. They can't manufacture enough units. So a Z9, for example, is great because they can't manufacture enough to meet demand there. But at least when they sell a Z9, they're getting a much higher chunk of revenue per unit. So if they can only produce 10,000 cameras, you're going to want to do it with a high value camera so you can bring in more money to keep the camera company going.
Do you think that they're making that much on the Z9? I mean, isn't it true that most of the cameras, the profit margin isn't that much different from one to the other?
The profit margin, that's correct, but a margin is usually a percent. So as you go up in value, you get more dollars per unit, which is what I was referring to. And because everybody is in a situation where they can't produce a lot, so what are you going to produce a lot of, let's say Z5s, where your dollars per unit is much lower than a Z9? So if you can only get about a few thousand out a month, why don't you pick your high-end one? And so there's a benefit.
You're right, because they can't do volume for the other. Right. I understand that. We got a lot of comments coming in now. So again, we're a Nikon centric group here.
I have a question for you, Simon. As far as Nikon rumors go, Peter at Nikon Rumors, how does the YouTube links work on posts? You know how you post YouTube links after a news article or whatever? Is that a paid spot or does he just pick and choose? Do you know how he does?
So I don't. So it depends. Video, YouTube has it or Google has it covered through AdSense, whether it's web or YouTube. With YouTube, I don't really have much choice over the ads. I usually just for each one I say.
I'm talking about Nikon Rumors, the website. You know the news articles Peter posts.
So usually how he makes his money is off the Google ads on the side or through the affiliate links. So if he's saying it's available at Adorama, blah, 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 all these companies, I can guarantee you that link takes you to the site, but has a code in it. So if you buy something while you're there for the next hour, he gets 2% back or something.
I was just curious if he picks and chooses which videos on YouTube to promote on his posts. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, you mean like if he puts mine up or somebody else's?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I mean, Forthridge Rumors started showing a lot of my videos when I was covering the GH6 and the OM1. I didn't even ask for that. He just started doing it.
Okay.
So I didn't get anything out of it, and I don't really care. I was just happy that it was another source that had recognized me, and that, for somebody who's new, that's kind of a big deal.
Question, because I want to get some juicy info from you. If you don't want to say it, that's fine. It's cool. But I want to ask you anyway. The Canon rumored issue that happened with Gerald Undone, and what was that all about? If you could summarize it in one paragraph, basically.
Well, so I don't want to put words in other people's mouth, but definitely watch the video that I put out where I interviewed Craig. And if you watch the Twitter feedback on February the 6th or the 5th, you can probably find those still posted elsewhere. What Craig said in my video is that he really respects people who produce their own content, that understand how to use cameras, that are actually creators instead of just, throwing content out there, like just doing talking heads and not really participating. And he does talk about that because he's a bit of a creative himself. But no, I think what spawned that whole, where you saw comments, and I had a lot of people me the day after saying, Simon, what do you think about what Canon Rumor said? And I go there, it's like, no, there's no news. What are they talking? And I'd see 3 more comments, and somebody said Twitter feed. And I went there and I saw the feeds, and I thought, oh, and I knew right after reading a few of those, first of all, oops, I hope my name isn't there. And it was, but it was a different comment. And I immediately, after about 5 of them, realized something's happened. I've known Craig for a couple of years. The person responding to this, something's happened. And later found out that somebody had sent him some pretty X-rated PG-17 or whatever. I don't know I don't know what it was, but it was pretty nasty what they'd sent to him, threats or something. And he responded in a way that he responded. I'm trying to be careful with my words because I don't want to editorialize. I want his words to speak for himself.
Yeah. Wow. There's so much going behind the scenes with all this stuff.
Well, as you see with different personalities, there's people who all they care about is the dollars. They don't care about relationships. They don't care about others. And if they can use news, like there's an expression, there's no such thing as bad news. It's all good. It creates excitement, right? And I think that it's like any business. You're going to have good people, you're going to have great people, you're going to have bad people, and you're going to have terrible people, and most of the people are in between. It's just because we're doing YouTube doesn't mean that, sure, people put on a nice smiley face, but there can be some shenanigans going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Albert, this is an interesting question because I saw Camera Conspiracy's video he put out, I think today or yesterday, about the 800 and how camera manufacturers are targeting high-end clients right now and just ignoring the entry-level buyers. Is there some truth to that right now, or what do you think? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, there's definitely truth to it. In fact, if you take a look at Nikon's midterm management report, which they also talk about their Vision 2030, they say right in there, I think it was slide 19? Or maybe it was around slide 11, but they say right on this side of the page that, we're aiming at hobbyists and professionals.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that they acknowledge in that statement, I believe, is the fact that more hobbyists probably buy professional cameras than professionals.
I can actually say that when I was speaking with a corporate sales rep at Canon Canada when the R5 was announced, and I said this on my channel, but nobody believed me, but he said that at least here in the Canadian market, pretty well most of the cameras were being bought by hobbyists, not by corporate accounts.
Right. And I'm a firm believer in that, which is why I get upset when brands supports. It'd take me an hour to quantify support professionals. But I was up in arms over the launch of the Z9 and the 30-day window that NPS members had to just kind of decide, maybe I want it, maybe I don't, and trump everybody that was in line for that camera. To me, that was criminal. But because I said that your bread and butter for that camera and so many cameras and so many of the old pros are just, I don't know, they're stuck in the past or something. They all say, well, this is a professional's camera. You know what? there's more money out there in the hands of hobbyists than there is in the hands of pros. Pros have to justify, hobbyists just have to want.
I love that. Okay, so you use two words that I hate to use, hobbyist and professional. It's like official. It has no meaning.
Yes.
What really matters at the end of the day is what are the outcomes we're trying to produce. And for me, when I was looking at this camera 2 years ago, I was even talking to my wife. I said, it might be $8,000. And she goes, that's a lot of money. I said, I know. But I said, we'll probably have this camera for 8 years. But it was the first time I was able to do 4K video, do it well.
Right.
And I thought, because when you saw the details to do 8K oversample 4K, I'm still staggered. Wow. I just shot some video on the weekend doing an Easter egg hunt with my son, and I had the 50 millimeter f1.2 because we were in the forest. Wow, brightens everything up, the detail of the trees. And then in the distance, you have a soft blur, nothing that's, you can still see the detail even though the blur is there. And it was just truly magical.
Right.
So focus on the outcomes. I try to avoid the words professional because it means nothing. Am I a professional because I have a YouTube channel? Some could argue so.
You're absolutely right, Simon, but I have to use it because everybody else uses it. I've tried to get an explanation of what a professional is. When you look up profession, it means a trade, and a professional is somebody that's well in that trade, doing well in that trade. But a guy that shoots a backyard wedding once every 2 months and calls himself a professional because he has a couple of cameras, can become an NPS member. Therefore, he's a professional. Oh, by the way, if you're an NPS member, you're a professional. So you're right. I don't go along with that either. However, since everybody in forums and the industry seems to use that term, I use it, but I'm not. I've never said I was a professional by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a hobbyist, an amateur, and I enjoy all these cameras, and I'm going to buy them because I want them, not because I justified it. And I get a little upset sometimes when we get into the conversations. And I'll have a video coming out finally. Vahagan's finally convinced me to put my rants into an 8-minute video, and I'm going to. I think the first one's going to be tech togs, pixel peepers, and purists.
Hey, Chuck, you don't know the definition of being a pro? If you make a cent from something, you're a pro. You didn't know?
Oh, okay.
Hey, I have Photo Me Ike on here, and he just put out a video about how Canon and Sony have their own cinema lines.
Yes.
And Nikon does not. And he kind of wants it to stay that way. I think that's what I don't quote me on this, Photo Me Ike, but he likes it this way because they're putting whatever they're developing into the camera that he has, which is the hybrid Z9.
Well, and Nikon is missing a key capability if they want to have their own cinema line, and they're going to have to get a license from Canon. So starting up a cinema line is very, very expensive and resource intensive. And what Nikon's going to have to do is they're going to have to license the Canon cripple hammer so that they can go through the stills line and start to remove capabilities, add a 30-minute record limit and things like that to make the cinema line more appealing. And that's where Canon is kind of at with the R5 is they could have made it. They could have put in a proper heat sink. And you know what? The R5 with that size body wouldn't overheat at room temperature shooting 8K RAW. There's videos on YouTube. There's many reviews showing where if you open up the camera, do a slight design change, that's not very expensive, you can shoot unlimited at studio temperatures. So if you're going to have a cinema line, the cripple hammer is going to have, you're going to have to license the cripple hammer from Canon.
I don't know much about that, but what he was saying was he likes the fact that Nikon is doing this, and if it would take away from the hybrid camera, if they were to have a dedicated cinema line. So
it wouldn't so much take away. They would have to look at certain capabilities and realize, okay, so like the Z9 might not be as good as it is right now if they had a cinema line. Just look at the R5. It could do 8K video raw. Wow, how much you have to spend in a cinema line to get that? But you don't get SDI out. You don't have variable ND filters built in. You don't have all these things that you would generally get at a cinema level. So yeah, you get 8K, but you really have to learn how to use it. There's no waveforms. And it took me a while to learn how to get the high quality out of the R5 because it's a stills hybrid and they've got that cinema line. There's certain caveats that you have to learn and work around. And yeah, I don't have a problem shooting with overheating now. I use the Ninja 5 in the studio that solves my overheating. And I live in Canada, so for 8-10 months of the year, temperatures below 60F, I don't have to worry about overheating.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Hey, Photomiac, yeah, that's why I was quoting your video there. What's up, Josh? Bayou Josh in the house. Mozman. Haha, Jeffrey, all you guys. Bayou Josh. Have you seen his stuff, Simon?
Hey, gentlemen.
This is the sad thing about once you start producing content and people think you're copying or ripping off other people. You don't have the time to watch other people. Like my wife just came home now and she's probably tiptoeing around because she's worried about how much noise she can make. But with this spatial microphone, I think it blocks a lot of that out.
Oh, I think we got a phone call. Phone call question.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hello.
There you go. Go ahead.
Okay, this is Agnetha.
I'm sorry, is Agnetha?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Great to finally hear your voice, Agnetha. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a great show. I enjoy watching it all the time.
Well, thank you. Do you have a comment or a question for Mr. Simon here?
I think I do. Yes, the question would be, do you think it's okay for YouTube photography influencer to mislead some new photographers and videographers when it could cost them a lot of money in the long run?
Oh, to steer them down a certain path or for camera?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you get that, Simon? That's for you.
Yeah. So let me see if I can rephrase, because at some points with the echo, I didn't quite catch. But is there a fear that I might steer people down the wrong road into spending a lot of money on equipment that is not helpful? Is there a fear that I might steer people down the wrong road into spending a lot of money on equipment?
Agnetha, can you turn the can you mute the audio on your feed on YouTube?
Hello?
Yeah, can you mute the audio on YouTube? We're getting an echo and feedback.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I turned up my TV down.
Okay. So we think we understood your question. I'm going to let Simon carry on here. So Simon, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but maybe we got the echo gone.
I'd like to quote the movie Meet Joe Black, where one of the protagonists, Bill Parrish, said one thing he thought was very, very important is delivering the truth unvarnished. And what I try to do is I just try to put the facts out there as best I can. With rumors, they're not always facts, right? But I try to convey the information in an honest way, and then I try to provide my analysis and opinion as to what I think, and to take it in depth further, instead of just putting out specs, because who really cares? What do the specs mean? Where does it go? But sometimes I'll talk about cameras and what the outcomes are. I don't talk specs so much because I think the outcomes matter more. So if you're looking for a certain camera, when I start to talk about outcomes, it speaks more to what you're looking for. I don't talking about 4K 120, 4K, that means nothing. It doesn't tell you whether you're talking about a high-end camera, whether you're getting a 1.7 times crop that's soft with no log profile, right? I try to go into more detail to help explain what these different technologies mean. And I also take a lot of questions. You look at all the comments that people will put in my videos. I usually spend a good couple of hours going through, and you'll see the tons of comments. So if people ask me questions, I do follow up with them too. So if there's any questions, and if I get something wrong, I'll correct it in the comments. If I really get something wrong, like I mixed up the H2 with the H2S, I put out a separate video and I talked about that. So I'm very accountable. You know, when you're trying to do things very, very quickly, as I am with news and rumors, you do get things wrong sometimes. So I'm very careful at making sure I do corrections, not just in a comment, but live as well.
Yeah, Jeffrey wants to know, are you getting the R1? If it comes out.
It's a definite maybe, and that depends. And why that depends is what it can do. What is it capable of? If the R1 is what the 1DX Mark II was to the 5D Mark IV, where basically it was the same video, but you could do 4K 60 instead of 4K 30. You could do slow motion in 1080 and 720. If it's just a minor difference like that, no, there's no point. But looking at the Z9, especially, I think that the R1 has a potential to be a wow camera, a really impressive camera. Yeah. And if they do deliver, if they can do like 8K 60 without overheating, if they can do, if they can bring ProRes all the way up to 8K oversample 4K, or do other things in video that like waveforms, and not just a black and white waveform, but a color waveform. Every camera is doing a black and white waveform, and color makes a huge difference. Like I'm wearing a cap like this, I'm sitting outside. I can't tell where the cap ends and my face ends, where if you're doing a color waveform, it's like wearing glasses and not wearing glasses. So it really depends on what the R1 is capable of, but I've already locked in with a local store. I'm the first one in line to be able to purchase the R1 when it's available. And I am a CPS member, so I've got that checkbox covered.
Hey, here's some breaking news, Simon. Breaking news on the Vahagraphy Talk. The Z9 firmware just dropped. So
really?
Yeah.
I thought it was supposed to come out on the, oh yeah, it is the 20th, right? Sorry, time zones as they are.
Thank you, Mozman. Mozman.
Thank you. Now we can get the real reviews, because I put one video out there and then I stopped, because until people can download it and put it in the machine, they're just words. We want to see what it can do. Definitely some improvements on the video side, on the still side. But what the firmware update really means to us as Nikon owners is Nikon is now one of those few companies that is delivering more capabilities and enhancements with firmware updates and doing it frequently. It's been, what, 3 or 4 months since it's been out, and we've already gotten 3 firmware updates. That's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah, everybody's heading to the download center. You know, I'm gonna wait.
Viewership dropped.
I'm gonna wait because I want to see if there's any issues with any of that. Hey Chuck, what is this thing right here? Add to stream. You sent me something?
Yeah, that's the download page on Nikon USA.
Here it is. Okay.
And
so I won't be putting out that video. I'm going to bed after this.
He's like, damn, I gotta get out of here and shoot that video right now.
No, I will be going to bed after this. It's a big deal, but I already covered it and we already knew it was coming out, right? So
there we go. Yeah, same here, David. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good point, guys. Look, if you don't need the firmware right now, wait a few days at least to see if anything comes out of it. Wait a week or two. I know these things rarely bomb, but look what happened to the Canon R6 with firmware 1.3.0. It basically bricked the camera. So things can go south. Let some other people, let the early influencers get out there. Let the early adopters get out there and try it. At least wait a day or two and you should be okay.
Yeah, let Tony Northrup go out there and download it.
I guess he would have the Z9, wouldn't he?
I don't know.
He has one now, but no, it took him a while to get a Z9 in his hands.
That's strange. Yeah, there's a channel here. There's a lot of channels close to me, like within an hour's drive. One guy, he has like almost 1 million subscribers, and he wasn't able to get the R5 from Canon. I didn't understand that. Here was me, a little old channel. I had one a week before. I don't know how he didn't get the R5.
So let me ask you something. How did your channel, all of a sudden, it just jumped from 12 to 28K, like in a matter of months?
So First of all, I want to encourage people. There's a few videos I put out really earlier on that share my success to get monetized, to get to 2,000 and 5,000, and I stopped doing it. That's why I say no questions off the table. I want to help people and mentor people where possible. One of the things I talk about in that early video that's 40 minutes long is once you got your vision, goals, and objectives, you got to know your market. And you got to know that really before you even set up. What is the market going to be? Because with cameras, you've got a really good high RPM. Then you can do affiliates, and you got 3 revenue streams. If I do gaming, it's 1/10 of what cameras are, and I can't do those other revenue streams. So you're significantly down. I knew my market. It was January. I knew the 1DX Mark III was ready to come out. So here's what I did. I was on the 1DX Mark III like crazy. I had less than 1,000 subscribers, and I was putting a video out almost like 6 or 7 o'clock every night. As soon as I got home from work, I worked on it, put it out the window. Then one day, and I talked to Craig at Canon Rumors before, he told me, he said, tonight, around 11, good chance it's coming out. So I put out a video stating it was coming out. I took a chance because it was a 50-50-90, right? I thought, you know what? I'm small enough that if I get it wrong, nobody will notice. They won't see it. But if I get it right, and I'm like sweating, right? Because I'm getting like 1,000, 2,000 views an hour for the next 6 hours, and it hits, and then boom, overnight it goes up like crazy. And then in the morning, Tony Northfro knows, and I go down to like 300 views an hour.
Yeah.
But that one video got me monetized.
So you just took a chance on it, and you just.
You have to know your market. So I had to be open to what was coming out. I had to know what was coming out to put myself in a position to be able to pay attention. Because if I had seen that email the day after, it wouldn't have served its purpose, right? So you got to know your market, know what's coming, network. I mean, what do they tell you when you're trying to find a job? Network, network, network. And that got me monetized. And that blew me up to a couple of thousand. And right as that kind of died down, about a week later, Canon Rumors put out the story about the R5 with a very, very detailed specification list that was 100% leaked from Canon. And I stayed on that, and I got beat up because there's no way Canon's going to leak for the company. 8K RAW? Come on. IBIS?
How long was that video you put out? How long was that video you put out?
The one on the R5?
Yeah, the one you took a chance on.
That was in January, probably the 14th or 10th, 2020.
How long was the video, though?
Oh, like it probably was average, maybe 8 minutes.
So you just went on there, started talking. This video.
I recorded it in my studio. I just went quickly. I covered off a few main points, and I can't even remember today. I know it's my second largest video with like 44,000 views.
What did you said? The camera's coming or something like that, or
I said the Canon 1DX Mark III will be dropped tonight at around 11 o'clock to midnight. It's going to be announced in Japan, because if it's 11 o'clock at night, it's going to be Japan. It could be Australia, but I figured this was Japan, so I called it, and I hit it.
Give us some tips on titles, would you? Clickbait. No, I'm just kidding. But just
okay. Well, actually, so this completely surprised me. If you go ahead and look at my channel, there was one I just put out on Nikon a little while ago. Oh, what is it? I'm going to bring up Safari because I can't remember. It's something to do with Nikon, and I left it a little bit. It could be potentially seen as a negative or positive, but you're like, what is this? And let's see, Nikon, do a quick search here. Nikon. I got way too many videos on Nikon. Okay, so let's do it a different way. Let's go based on the most number of views, and this should bring it up.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, yeah. So the title is, it's completely black, and it says, "What has Nikon done?" ? Nikon in yellow, and a guy doing a half face palm like this. What has Nikon done? And that video was all about Nikon's latest financials and how not only have they turned things around, but they've strapped two solid rocket boosters to the side of the company, and they're just taking off. Right. So, when I talked previously saying that I think that Nikon's future wasn't looking too good based on what was out there, I said, now looking at the same information that's come to the market, Nikon's completely flipped around. Everything that they're showing, all their numbers are very, very positive. And that video came out February the 6th, and it has 54,000 views.
Let me ask you a question about titles. Short titles or long titles? Like, for example, let me give you an example.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. You're talking about a camera and you're shooting with this lens. Do you include the camera or do you include the lens and the camera together in the title? Will that give you more traction?
It depends. What you have to realize is that some people will see the title and some people will see the thumbnail, but they don't always see both. So you have to be careful. You want to leave a little bit of mystery. So what has Nikon done with this is like, ooh, crap. I'm a Nikon fan. I better check this out. If you don't like Nikon, go, I'm going to go check this out. And then the title says, Nikon announcement, bombshell changes. Let me read that again. Nikon announcement, bombshell changes outlook. Well, that can be positive or negative. So again, if you like Nikon, it's like, well, is this good or bad? I better check this out. If you don't like Nikon, oh, is this good or bad? And I couldn't believe how many views this thing took.
What was the title again? What was the title?
Nikon announcement, bombshell changes outlook.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Sometimes I think, should I? Less is more in titles.
It can be, but play around. I will often produce more than one thumbnail, so I'll get it out the door quickly. Then after work, I'll go back, take a look at the thumbnail, and maybe change it again.
Oh wow. Okay.
But keep in mind, just because you get more views than anything else doesn't mean it makes more revenue. Well, this is my highest viewed video by far with 54,000 views. I have another video that has twice the revenue of this, and it's about half the number of views.
Yeah. Bayou Joss, does Simon put out a video a day? I think I see 30 videos in nearly 30 days. He puts out a lot of videos. Hey, by the way, Simon, I want to congratulate you on the amount of success you've had in such a short period of time. 2 years? Yeah. And you already have almost 30,000 subscribers. That's great.
It's funny because I don't see that. I kind of look at it as like, I'm not growing. I'm not.
What? Yeah, man.
It's perception, right? When you live just 10 minutes away from somebody like Peter McKinnon and he gets $1 million in a year, you kind of look at that and go like, yeah, no, I'm not doing so well. But
yeah,
I have to understand that, this is a positive. I've beaten all my goals I set for myself. I've met most of my objectives. And look, I get to hang out with cool people like you two.
Wow, what a compliment. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Simon.
Well, isn't this why we do this as hobbyists?
That's exactly right. And that's the whole point of my live stream, is just for us to get together and chat. And you can see how many people just enjoy sitting around talking about cameras.
And we help each other out. My wife
is happy I'm doing this, so I don't bug her anymore.
And we help each other out as YouTubers.
Yes.
For example, I hate asking, but I tell my guests, if you can just post the link of this chat on your communities tab on your YouTube, that'll be awesome. You're in the show. It'd help me out with the viewership, and fans of yours, Simon, will see that you were on a podcast. So
actually, you know what? I didn't post it because the link you gave me, I figure, is a different link than to actually come to the show.
Oh yeah, the YouTube link. No, you can even do it after the fact.
Yes.
Say, hey, check out this podcast I was in, Vahagraphy Talk. Lay it on your communities tab, and because I'm a big fan of helping other people out in these smaller channels. I shout out. I give shout outs to channels that are like 500 subscribers, sometimes, because I want to help them out, and they get so happy, and same thing with me. If somebody that had 100,000, or in your case 30,000 subscribers, if they shouted me out, I would say, dude, thank you very much. You know what I mean? That's great. Wow.
I do it all the time, and if there's news tomorrow, which I think there is, if not, I'll have to make it, then I'll mention you in a behind the scenes. But channels like Moving Matt, he's now monetized or close to. There's a chap out of the UK worked with. He helped me out with one video, so I thought, okay, now I'm going to try to get him to 1,000, right? And I love that. And then sometimes I'm able to get somebody like Dan Watson or Jordan Drake to come on my channel, which is, I could have had Gordon Lang too, but then I'm thinking like, well, what's the angle? Right? Because he doesn't do news and rumors. He's under NDAs. And so I thought, well, I have to think about this a bit more. But sometimes you punch above your weight and you get people that are way bigger than you. And, Jordan was really helpful to this channel. He helped me with a contest to help provide transparency. So he picked the winner in the contest.
That's cool.
And he also
I like him, but I really like him now. That's the kind of stuff. That's the wonderful thing about this is to, it's not just promoting other people, but showing that they're humans and they're, photographers that want to contribute to the community. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just looking at a comment that Jeffrey posted too. He says, enjoy my channel very much. You dive into topics with great enthusiasm. Well, that's because I really do enjoy these topics, but you guys need to thank my wife who's in the kitchen there because she supports this channel too and the work I do. And, quite often when I say, okay, I got to shoot a video, it's like, now I got to go. She's, how long? 10, 15 minutes. Ran down to the basement because it's in the basement. So if people are walking, it sounds like thunder, right? So I put it in the basement because I need a cold environment. And even in the summer, I can keep it cold. So my wife in the other room, she gets a lot of credit for supporting me. Although I think it was 2 months after I started, she discovered the studio in the basement. She was a little bit concerned. She wasn't sure what I was up to.
Well, thank her from me, and I'm sure all the rest of the people in the chat because we do enjoy your channel.
Yep, I'm big. We enjoy it, and I'm a big fan of helping the little guy out all the time. If it makes, I pay it forward as much as I can. I guess I believe in karma. So
pay it forward. A great movie, a great concept, and most of the times the people I have on my channel have considerably less views than me, and I'm more than happy to. I used to do a weekly send in questions and I'll answer it. And I'd give some people a chance here. Do you want to answer this question? And, Moving Matt would come on once a week, or I'd have the village mayor on. I even invited him up from Toronto. We'd go in the woods and I'd say in the back country, the hinterland of the Northern Canadian wilderness. And about cameras, it's all about framing it, right? So you'd swear I'm in the wilderness. I'd have beavers, I'd have all sorts of animals, but if I tilted the camera up or it was wide enough, you'd see all the subdivision homes.
Yeah. That's, funny story. I've been to Egypt and I went to see the pyramids and the Sphinx and everything. Well, all the photos you see are in one direction. If you just turn around, everything in the city is right there. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you, Charles. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for watching too. I mean, you guys, right? The viewers are what makes us do this. It's the viewers. And hey, Tay wants a shout out. What's up, Tay? So, great. I mean, I love the title of your channel, or The Ordinary Filmmaker. Like, I'm just an ordinary guy, right?
That's why I picked. Do you want to know the story behind that?
Sure.
I came across the Everyday Dad, and back then he was well under 100,000. He truly was, just an ordinary guy. And I thought, I'd like to take Everyday Dad. That's a good one, but it's taken. So I played with that whole idea of Everyday Dad, and I thought, well, ordinary, okay. And some people said, don't do that. It means you're not special. I said, exactly. Because 80% of us out there working hard every day, we're just regular folk. And I thought, well, filmmaker, because, I'm videography, right? That's what I do. And we all like to think of ourselves as little Spielbergs and, James Camerons out there. And I thought, well, Ordinary Filmmaker is perfect. But I have like a regular comments from people saying, well, if you're filmmaker, show us your work. Like I'm an actual, independent filmmaker. Like, well, no, that's not exactly what I do. A lot of the work that I do, I can't really show you, but I show you snippets of work I do with my son or my family. Because really how this started is she was about 7 months pregnant. She says, you need a new camera. I'm like, oh, I don't know, honey. They're expensive. She says, no, you got to get a good one. All right. So I went to the camera store. I didn't know anything. I had a 50D and I said, look, I need a camera that does really good video. What do you recommend? He says, well, the 70D. I said, has it been out long? It'd been out a month. I said, how's the autofocus? Not knowing anything about autofocus at the time or video. He says, yeah, no, it's really good. You'll like it. Okay. So I bought it, $1,000. That was it. And I started shooting, and I only shoot 720 because I thought 1080 was too expensive at the time to, content. And that's how I got started into video. I was just an ordinary person just trying to capture and document life. And I've gone back and remastered some of those early videos. But what I do is essentially from December all the way through to the following November, every month I try to capture certain moments. So you can see my son growing, you can see me getting older, and you see it month to month. And then what I do is it's like they're mini scenes within a movie, a montage of the life, the day I call it the year that was 2021, for example. And over the years, I've been able to get better audio. That's the first thing I learned. Yeah, it doesn't matter if the video is good, you have to have good audio.
Right.
So I got like a Sennheiser mic. And then I started to work on improving my skill because the 70D wasn't a very good camera, but back then it was. But the problem was I wasn't good enough at shooting. I had to learn how to hold a camera, how to frame it, how to tell the story. So by the time I got to 2020, I squeezed as much effort as I could out of the 70D and thought I was ready for the R5. And it took me about 8 months to a year and a half to fully grasp how to take it out in any sitting and know how to get the shot and make it look good without going, oh, the exposure is crap again. And the amount of times my viewers would see my exposure was off, I just didn't get how to work with that professional camera. And then I all of a sudden learned it. I realized, ISO 800, Canon Log 3. All right, so I'm going to take the ISO 2000, bring it down to 800, let it sit at 800, and shoot. Now, if I'm going to pan the camera into the sun, I have to retake the lighting to see where that ISO falls and keep it there. And I'm going to ensure that almost every time the lighting is going to be perfect. The rest of the time, if my son's taking up a good third, I set up one of the keys on the camera. You can do this with any camera. And I set it so the IRE falls to about, was it 25, 30 IRE? And so when part of his face just starts to light up to that certain level, I know that that is perfect. So when I get it into post, the color is going to be perfect. Because otherwise, horrible. But every year I'm trying to improve. And this channel has basically given me 10 years worth of experience because to do the channel, I had to learn. I've had to struggle. And I've struggled with people. They could see my mistakes.
Ask my subscribers how many times I've started with no audio or or the audio goes out in the middle of the stream. I mean, you got to love live. Live is live. You're not taking it back. It's out there. And yeah. So what's next for your channel as far as whatever? I mean, what do you do taking the next step with your channel? Be it content, equipment, location, or what?
That's funny. I've already done that. So in the last couple of weeks, I teamed up with a man named Julian from Think Media in the UK. Mm-hmm. He's an audio guy. And I thought, I need your help. So he designed an audio preset for Final Cut. So my audio sounds a whole lot better now. You talk about, how much money I bring in and think, well, I should be buying a Nikon Z9. They're plenty of money. Well, I bought a Max Studio Ultra with the studio display. That sucked out a whole lot of money, but I can now produce content so much quicker. It literally saves me at least half an hour of video that instead of actually taking less time, I take the same amount of time, but now I produce better. I do better editing. So you'll see I've got zoom cuts that continue to keep that flow. Because I like to pause when I talk like I do now. But in YouTube videos, that doesn't work very well. If you have a pause, somebody clicks away. So I take that Rene Ritchie kind of pace a little bit. And it seems to be working. People seem to be liking it. And every now and then, a few weeks later, I'll get a comment saying, hey, your audio's better. But where do I want to take it next? This is where I want to try to get do reviews of certain equipment, better equipment, because I think that really helps too. I want to take more things outside. And I was talking on my channel the other day, I want to buy a Corvette because when I had my 50D, I had a Corvette. And basically every weekend, if it was sunny, I'd take a friend and say, let's go someplace and shoot. And my son is turning 8. To be able to have a car like that where you can say, because he'd be excited. It's like to be able to go someplace and be able to shoot. I don't know. That's special. But what comes next, it's really hard to say. I'm at a good spot right now.
Hey, being a photographer, do you really need a C8 Corvette? Couldn't you get by with that's the photography thing, you know? Do you really need a C8? No, but I want it.
Yes.
And that's all you have to say, Simon. You don't have to justify with me. You just, I want it because I understand that. I understand the just want, and there's nothing wrong with just wanting. Okay.
Yes. But there's, if you have children, you understand, or you're married, you understand this, because something magical happens when you get married. You feel very guilty of buying anything for yourself.
Granted. Yeah.
That's the toughest thing.
It is, but don't let that stop you from, as long as it's not hurting the family, don't let it stop you.
I agreed. And really the next step for me, what I would really love to be able to see, like, I think 30,000 views is not too far away, but for me to get up north of 50, to me, that really says that, you know, everybody out there is taking me seriously, that I'm offering something of value. And I would love that. I don't see myself ever getting to 1 million subscribers or anything like that, but to get to 50 or even get to 100 someday.
Well, at the pace you're going, you're going to hit that no matter time, you know.
That might be 5 years.
Hey, you know what?
But it's not why I do it, but you all know that when you get a pat on the back, it makes a difference. And especially when you see numbers like that, because companies look at you differently too. You know, I believe it or not, I was really excited by this. Several of my subscribers told me that they were given a survey by Canon on the recent purchase and asked when they were looking at researching their 1DX Mark III or whatever it was, which sources did they use, which YouTube channels did they use, and I was one of the sources cited on that Canon survey.
Good on you. Great.
I was, you know, the fact, I knew they were watching, right? You know they're watching you, right? Because how is this guy getting this information? Whatever. But you know because even some of the sales guys has told me the only way I get information is from watching you, you know, or reading the sites. But
well, you know, people gravitate to somebody that is honest to at least point them in the right direction. And a real buyer will still do a little investigation on his own. But you're one of those people that people can trust, and they know you're not going to push them in the wrong direction. And you always caveat things like, that would be my decision, or that's where I would go, or what I would do, or whatever. And again, I like that.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things I get,
manufacturers.
You see this too, but a lot of people say, okay, I'm sick and tired. I'm done with insert manufacturer name. Canon, I'm done with Sony, I'm done with Nikon, I'm done with Panasonic. And I don't know if these are people just kind of trying to blow things up, but some of them are serious. And so I'll write in and say, you know what? Wait for the G8.6 announcement, or wait for the Nikon Z9 announcement. Let's just wait, because switching platforms is very expensive. It can't hurt you've already waited 5 years. Let's just wait a few more months.
I remember you doing that in one of your videos. And again, I applaud you. Yeah.
Hey, he says stands don't fit in Corvettes.
C stands.
You know, that's not true. You can fit 2 full-size golf clubs in the C8 in the back, not the front trunk, but the back trunk. And I'm sure I can stick that Manfrotto in there. I will find a way. I'll get a roof rack. See, what you don't understand is when you're covering news and rumors, you need high performance everything. A Mac Studio, M1 Ultra. You need a high performance vehicle to get you there.
There you go, justifying again. It's all about want.
It is. It is.
By you, Josh. Nikon ignores me. You know what, Josh? I don't think they ignore. Well, they ignore me, but they hear me, because they won't answer my emails or my NPS requests or anything anymore. Again, I am probably banished from Nikon in any professional manner.
You know, something you said earlier, and before I comment, can you hear my wife in the background?
No, sir.
Nope.
I love, like, it's loud here for me, but this is these. I don't know what Apple's done with these noise canceling microphones or whatever. Like, all I'm using is the microphone that's in this studio display. So at least you're getting that worth value out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, now, what was I going to say? What were you saying last?
I was saying, well, no, we were talking about the what were you saying, Chuck?
Don't justify. Want is enough.
No, we moved on to something else.
No. Help us out, chat room. Nikon's NPS used to answer emails.
Oh,
yeah,
I got it.
Yeah, they don't answer me.
Well, they don't. Oh, yes, now I remember. So there we go. We just rewound the tape. You know.
Thank you, chat room.
You said this earlier, and I'm going to kind of answer. The biggest reason why Nikon is not reaching out is they don't have the budget. They're not big like Canon or Panasonic. People think Panasonic's small. Lumix is small, but Panasonic is huge. These companies have access to better budgets, and Nikon just doesn't have better budgets. But they've got to somehow, like, for example, you got all these companies that send me like the Weelight 400, or they sent me the 300, and I thought for photography it's great, but for video the fan's too loud. And
Viltrox.
I didn't want to say anything because I hate saying bad things, but I thought I've got to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I responded and we talked. I thought, okay, well, I'll do the review. And I talked about scenarios where it works, but where it doesn't. And I said, I prefer the CL100 because I don't have any noise. And I thought, oh, wait till I hear the response. And then they said a week later, hey, would you like to review the more powerful 400, which is more quiet? All right. Got that. And I was head over heels for it. It's like, wow, this thing's so bright. It's 150 watts. Like I've got it at 1% now, and look at it, it's lighting me up like a Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
And it's absolutely silent. Like I brought up to 80%, you could barely hear the fan. And my wife loves it when she shoots her cakes. How much does it cost them, other than the cost of the equipment, to send it to me? I get to keep it at the end of the review, but they get a review. And Nikon, they can do this. I know with the Z9 it's expensive, but take some of your other cameras and just look at the top number of channels that you think could help you. Send it to those channels. You know?
Yeah.
Get it out there.
You're preaching to the choir now, Simon. You need to come back and listen to us more often. We're on it. Again, I've been told I was a Nikon fanboy. I said, you don't listen to me, do you? You obviously don't listen to what I say in my streams, because I love the equipment, but I constantly hound Nikon on their lack of communication and marketing. And I understand what you're saying about marketing, but I wish there was a way to see through all of to see the truth. How much does Sony Corporation support the optics, or not optic division, but the camera division, which is a very small part of Sony. It's minuscule.
I can tell you something.
Recognition means a lot.
You got to hear this. Talking to a local retail chain here in Canada, I was talking to, and it was on one of my live shows a while back. He said in the last 7 years, he's had a Canon person show up at the store once. He's had 5 people show up from Sony in the last year. Sony is out there. Sony's doing everything.
They are.
Sony is promoting people. They're promoting channels. They're getting equipment out there. They're going to the stores. They are nailing every channel. And when I say channel, I'm talking media channels, not just YouTube channels.
So how much does it cost Nikon to support a video? I mean, you watch B&H, the videos that they've been putting out, all the tutorials and things that they've been putting out. How many of them are promoted by Sony? How many are promoted by Canon? How many are promoted by Nikon? I haven't heard one where Nikon supported that video or was a sponsor for the video or just promoted the video. But you're right. Sony outdoes all. But Canon is doing it too. They're at least, they're sponsors for a lot of the videos and things like that. So again, I'm going to continue to hound Nikon. I love them.
Yeah, you know what? If you want to hound them for me too, because here's what I would do. If they actually gave me some sort of agreement with the Nikon Z9, and I don't want it for a week, what I want to do is I want to run it as my daily driver for the channel for a year. If they want to take it back at the end of the year or something, but if I have it, it's not just a regular video. That's what I did with the R5. You guys got a question? Sure, I'll do a video on it. I did it for 2 or 3 months until the interest died down. And that's what you want with a Z9 or some big camera. You want somebody talking about it all the time, not just for one review video.
Yeah. Well, Matt Irwin, I don't know if you're familiar with Matt Irwin. He's a Nikon guy. He has 20-some thousand subscribers, and Nikon sends him. I mean, he's a Nikon channel, but I'm sure, you know, have you tried reaching out?
Hello.
I have, and one of the things, I live in a smaller country, so the budgets are smaller. So while I've reached out to Canon,
Hello,
Hey,
Chuck.
yeah. Hey, David.
We got a
Sorry.
caller.
Yeah,
You guys hear David?
Yes.
yeah. I can you hear me?
Hi, David.
Hi, Vahagraphy and Simon.
How are you?
Well, in a way, I disagree with you talking about Nikon, and I can hear an echo in the background, and I have my sound off here. But Paul's photo and last weekend had 4 Nikon people in attendance for a photo talk on Nikon equipment. And in Calgary, where I am, it's Nikon came around personally with the Z9 and the 100 to 400 early to some of the different camera stores. But also the camera store is in Calgary, so they get special consideration. But that's not who I deal with. But I think that they're small. That they have a tendency when they go around, even with Jared, is the Nikon representative has the camera, and he passes it to Jared, and he stays there while Jared is using it. And so they're very tight-lipped about this. But that's just what I've come across. But Nikon does visit the stores in Canada. But I will let it go. And I've been enjoying your show so far. And Chuck, you don't make that many mistakes that I notice.
well, thanks. I notice all of them.
Yeah, I'm just not saying anything. And and I'll go on and say shout out to Josh. And I'm glad he had a good weekend out with Katie shooting. And I'm going to let the 3 of you go. And you have a good night, and I'll be listening in the background.
All right, sir. Thanks for the call, David. As
Thank
always.
you, David.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah,
Well-
Photomiak is right on this one. They have different divisions, and some countries are more aggressive. USA is like, I think, is behind all the other. I think Nikon Canada is more aggressive than USA when it comes to getting them out to influencers, and I could be
With
wrong.
Canon, it's the other way around. Canon USA is far more aggressive than Canon Canada. But I've been told by Canon USA that as long as I'm doing rumors, they're probably not going to do anything with me. Unless, of course, I get up past 100,000 or so, right?
Wait, what do they say?
Yeah.
You're doing
He said
rumors.
something like, I won't say who, but they said more or less like there's a 99. He can't say for sure, but there's a 99% chance that if you're doing rumors, Canon's not going to do anything with you.
Huh. That's interesting.
But I've also been told that if you start to get into working with camera companies, they'll have you sign NDAs, and you then won't be able to do rumors.
Well, you know, there's that brings up the conversation about becoming an ambassador too for any brand. Means that you can't touch anything else. I mean, you can't display anything else or any content made with anything else, or as far as other brands. At least that's what we've heard recently. And you know, so some people have basically stated they don't want to be an ambassador and have their, you know, hands cuffed and not be able to shoot with other brands.
Yeah. That's, I would rather get my channel bigger to the point where I could afford to buy personally cameras, or even, get a deal with Sony. Because I know, like Sony, if I was looking at getting an A7S III a while ago, they were going to give me 20% off because I would use it and promote it on the channel. But I ended up realizing when I looked at the cost of, I weighed over $10,000 and I would only have the same capabilities as I had with Canon. I wasn't adding additional capabilities. And I just thought for my viewership, there was really no benefit. With each purchase, I've got to add additional capabilities or enhance existing ones. Or it's
question for you. Was that ad and still use and talk about Canon? They were willing to go that route?
No, I was just doing my networking and reaching out to somebody, and I asked him, what about blah, blah, blah. And he says, look, I can't tell you for sure, but if you're doing rumors, there's a 99% chance that they're probably not going to do anything with you. And he wasn't being rude. He was just, letting me know. I said, yeah, I'm not telling you no, but I said, he's more or less telling me I'm a salmon swimming upstream. It would be hard.
Let me ask you a question real quick. Do you know who FJH? He was a Sony, whatever they are. I can't remember their moniker.
Artisan?
Yeah, Artisan. That just left Sony or just told Sony goodbye. I can't remember his name. Again, the chat room will probably fix it for me here.
FHG?
Yeah, something like that. Young guy. Sony courted him, and he was kind of in the mix as one of the artisans. And just recently, in the last month, he put out a video and said goodbye to Sony because they haven't done anything. They don't promote me at all. They just ignore me. And so I don't know. I just wonder what happened there. I wonder
I don't know, but I like the idea of not being in the pocket of any of the companies, but, discussing all of them. Like, I'd love to have a camera from each of the top three. I think that would be really, really good to be able to do that and talk about that. If they can give me discounts to where I can buy something, that's great. Now with Canon, thankfully, I have a relationship with a local camera store. And even the R5, when it came out, I got it for like $300 less. Mm-hmm. So that helps. But I can get a deal with there's other things that Sony or Nikon can do. Is if they can guarantee me day one that I've got the camera to purchase, that helps as well, because then I will when I own it, I'm going to use it more. I'm going to learn about it. I'm going to play around with it, and I'm a better ambassador because you're not paying me to talk about it.
Now, I have a question. Oh, go ahead, Chuck. I know.
I was just going to say, I see a lot of people over here talking about local camera stores that, around them that do quite a few Nikon events. Okay, that's wonderful. I mean, I'm glad to hear that, but how does that push the brand nationally or internationally? It's great that local stores are doing that, but we see, again, I go back to Adorama, and the only Adorama Nikon promotion is through Seth Miranda and Daniel Norton, because they shoot with Nikon. But I don't see any of the special events that they're promoting, whether it be shallow depth of field, this, that, or whatever, being sponsored by Nikon. But I see a lot of that content being sponsored by Canon and more so Sony. So anyway, we're not going to fix it here, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to complain about it.
A quick question, Simon. If a camera manufacturer were to reach out and say, like Peter McKinnon, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with him, right?
Yeah, he just lives 15 minutes away.
Are you serious? Okay, so he's the biggest.
I'm not kidding. This is like a hot spot. Let me tell you. So I've got Matty Hapalouche, which is about 10 minutes away. Peter McKinnon, which is about 15 minutes away. I've got Camera Conspiracies, which is just in the city. I've got Gerald Undone just down the road. I got Matt Granger. He's I think near Ottawa. But yeah, like in just this little space here, we've got so many just camera channels. Oh, and
Matt Granger's in Hong Kong. He's in Hong Kong. But anyway, that's cool. So somebody like Peter McKinnon, he's the biggest fish in the sea right now with the subscriber count. That is.
Yeah, he won't touch me.
So he's Canon. Is he a Canon ambassador?
He was. I don't know if he still is or not.
Are you serious? Okay. So,
but I do respect him because when the R5 overheat, I was the first to actually put out a video on the R5 overheating, and I got beat up on it because, you know, do you realize what this is going to do to Canon? I said, I didn't do it to Canon. They did it. But when Peter was doing his video showing it, and he did talk about the overheat in it, he didn't stay quiet about it. And I respected him a lot for that.
Yeah.
Although he did say at one point, he says, but, you know, I can understand that. Like, well, I can't, because I understand computers. I've worked in computers. I understand thermal architecture. And the R5 could have been just tweaked a little bit for maybe 5 cents more. And at room temperature, there wouldn't be any overheating shooting in any case.
What city are you in?
I'm in York region, which is just
Ontario,
just on top of Toronto, the greater Toronto area.
Hey, by the way, we talked on Rush. Well, Rush is my favorite band, by the way. So they're from Toronto. So how funny is that? YYZ.
YYZ, yep, Rush.
Yeah, that's the airport code, right, for Toronto International.
Yeah, we get TOR for some reason. YYZ, seriously, they're not even trying. Vancouver's like YVR. At least they got an R in it. I don't know.
Do you say Z9 or Z9? Obviously Z9.
Well, yeah, I'm not a typical Canadian. I've lived throughout the world. I carry dual British and Canadian citizenship. I lived in Canada, New Zealand, the United States, England.
Wow.
I joke around and say I'm an international man of mystery and intrigue.
Wow.
But I very much associate with the British part of my culture, although I sound mostly Canadian right now. But yeah, we in the British English, it's Z.
If Nikon sends you a Z9, I'm pretty sure you'd love it.
Oh, I know I would. And probably what I would do is I'd shoot it outside for a while. I'd say, okay, can we get this camera to overheat? Kind of, you know, making fun of the overheating thing, because every camera will overheat depending on the situation, right? It's electronics. Then I would take it inside and I'd shoot it in my studio, and I'd basically run it for 6 months to a year, because you guys have all seen what it's like running with the R5. I've got the Nikon Z9 now. So let's see how the Nikon Z9 looks in my studio. I'm going to use it as my daily driver. And then for personal run and gun stuff, I'll use the R5. So I'll be using Canon and Nikon side by side. And I would love that, because then I'm giving a bit more credibility. I'm not just a Canon fanboy. I'm now a Canon and Nikon fanboy.
That'd be great.
That'd be great. More Nikon content, more Nikon sales. So yeah, put out more Nikon content, Simon. They'll like it.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, you know, I get some indicators when I look at the affiliate sales through B&H. You know, like the GH6 outsold the OM1 at a 6-to-1 ratio based on what I see from my channel. The Z9, for me, this is a lot. I think I sold like 7 Z9s through B&H.
Is it worth doing the affiliate thing? Is that good?
Yeah, I do it through B&H. And when I notice it, what it helps to do, it gives me data, and I love data, because now I can look at my own channel as a source of data driving, so I can see, oh, the OM1, why is there only one? That's really low. Like even the R5C, I had a few of those go. So it gives me an idea of which cameras are sleepers and which ones are flying off the shelves.
So if somebody buys a Z9 from your link, how much do you get from that sale?
B&H generally gives 2% on everything. But if you bought it through Amazon, if let's say there was a link through Amazon, Amazon can give like 4 or 5%. They really give the money out
from the camera sale.
What any electronics? Yeah, Amazon is much better. Like the R5 through Amazon is about $200 in fees, but if you do it through B&H, I think it was like $90 or $100. It's half.
Wow.
I don't care. I'd rather people just buy it where they want to. And I've always said too, is that, you know, if you can help me out through the affiliate link, or you can help your local camera store, help your local camera store. They need it more than I do. I
should start putting affiliate links to all my reviews, man. I haven't done that yet.
15% of your YouTube income can come from affiliate links.
Wow. See that, Chuck? I haven't done that. Well, I haven't done it at all. I know PhotoMe, I guess, does it.
I'm not even close to any of that. So, you know, that I'm still in the honeymoon phase of YouTube, and just enjoying, enjoying being on here. Hey,
Jeffrey,
Simon, you're an hour over your expected departure time. I told you, you get carried away in this.
I know it's 2,300 hours. I do need to get going because.
Oh, I didn't mean to run you off. I just wanted to point out that that's the fun that we have in here. Everybody does that, and I love it.
Well, it's more fun for me because I'm not running anything. I'm just sitting here and relaxing. And when I do this myself, I'm always doing half a dozen things. I'd rather be on your show than host my own.
Right? How does it feel being on the other side of things for once?
Oh, awesome. Better.
Right? Yeah. Well, we enjoy this. Me and Chuck. Chuck has a live stream on Wednesday mornings and Saturday evenings.
Yeah, I do a week. Yeah, I do a live stream Wednesday afternoon at 12 p.m. noon, Eastern Daylight Time. And that usually goes for 2 to 3 hours. And then we have another one on Saturday night, and there's really no limit other than me falling off the chair and saying, I got to go. And that starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So, but we have a good time. As you can see, most of the people that you see in here in the chat are over on my live streams as well. And I tell you, I'm humbled that many people show up and enjoy it.
Yeah, well, that's his channel, the AP Studios. So, hey, another breaking news tip right here. Just updated the Z9 2.0.
All right.
Well, I want to thank you, Simon, for coming out and being a part of this today. It was great. It was really insightful for us because we're doing this. We're doing the YouTube thing, and it was just such a learning experience talking to somebody and you being so open and transparent about the numbers and how you do things. It was very inspirational, and it was good to hear somebody that's actually in it doing it. So thank you for that. But I have one last question for you. What mics do you use when you're doing the talking head stuff? And what light? Yeah. What microphone do you use?
So for all my talking heads, and actually for the run and gun with my son, I use a Tascam DR10L.
Is that the one that records internally?
It records internally into its own unit. Doesn't record to the camera, so I don't have to worry about preamps.
Yeah, I want to upgrade that. That it sounds good. Your stuff sounds good. The lighting, softbox. What lights do you use? What do you think of GVM?
You know what? All you want as a light is for it to be consistent and give you a range in color, temperature, and not to be loud. You know, for downstairs it's dark. I really don't have the lights too bright because those tiny little colored lights in the background, if I raise the light to where I need it to be, those lights just won't show up. Or I have to raise the power and they'll burn themselves out, right? So I use a Colbert CL100. It's $200 US. It's cheap. I've been using it for months. You really can't go wrong with it. It's really good. The other one I'm using is from Henry's. It's like a ring light. And then, of course, right above me, I have a Godox that shines down. And then I have like 6 colored lights behind me. Here, I'm using a 400.
Yeah, the wee light. Ninja?
Yeah, the Ninja 400. Yeah. You know, if I turn that full, like, let's see, if I use my phone here, because I control it through the phone, let's see if I can get myself completely overexposed. See, I've never really tried it on myself.
I'm using a tube light right now. It's already you know, kind of diffused.
All right. Actually, that's not too bad. Well, I just stared into it. That was bad. Yeah, sunset. No, that color's wrong. There we go. Let's do it like that. So yeah, that covers the lighting. In terms of mics, I use a few because every scenario I should have a proper mic here. I can't believe I'm just using the mic and the monitor. I use the Sennheiser MKE 400 for run and gun stuff. I find that that's pretty good. But when my talent is moving, like even my son, I put the Tascam on him and I just put like a windsock on it. See, I'm used to being in the basement where I got everything close by. I just put like a dead cat on it, and the Tascam is really good. Plus, you control the limiter, you control the gain, and all that stuff right in there. So when you take it into Final Cut, you don't have to do as much.
Yeah. And
$200.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll check that out because I want to upgrade my mics. You edit, you shoot. How long is your edit process usually for one talking head video, a news article or something?
If it's
Real quick,
10 minutes, I can do it in 5.
Edit in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, so okay. If it's
I have a secret.
5,
you see, when I put up those graphics, the sidebars.
Mm-hmm.
I already have them created.
Yeah, just gotta do is copy and paste the text.
So I copy and paste, and if I'm talking about the Z9 more than once, guess what? I might change it a little bit, but I copy, paste it. That's it. I'm done with it. I just drag it. But all my cuts, so I apply my video presets, but part of that preset, it includes a crop and a transform. So all I have to do is toggle on and off the transform or the crop, and I've already got them saved. So a lot of that stuff I don't have to redo. So basically I play it at about usually 2 times speed, and I'm good. Now, if I've got more time during my lunch, thanks to this Mac Studio, what I do is I start to spend more time editing to make it better.
When you export video and audio? When you export for web?
No, I export it as, let's see, I forgot. Why am I forgetting now? Compressor, probably because I'm on live and I'm thinking at the same time. It's H.265. See, I'm looking at, here we go.
The timeline.
HEVC 8-bit. So that's H.265, 4K.
Okay, I got to check that out.
And I let YouTube worry about what it needs to do.
But what's the top say? Does it say video and audio when you export?
No, well, I'm using compressors, so that's a separate program.
Never mind.
Yeah, I use Apple devices, 4K HVEC. I've got all the settings like that's a 4K, that's UHD 4K. It uses progressive automatic FPS, so it's going to match what I've got. It's an H.265 container. Why I use that is it's half the size of H.264, so it's half the time to upload. Because this has got the media encode engines, a 9-minute video at most will take 3 minutes to export.
Yeah,
and it looks fine, and it looks great on YouTube.
Yeah, it looks great.
Thank Canon, not me. I mean, I think unfortunately it has too much resolution. So if my skin's a little blotchy, boy, you can see it.
Well, thank you so much, Simon. Thank you for joining Vahagraphy Talk. This has been number 27. Great talk, great insight, great knowledge. Simon, Chuck, thank you. And we'll see you guys next time. Any final thoughts, Chuck?
Yeah, I was just going to say, and I'm sure Vahagan feels the same way. You're welcome to jump in on my channel anytime on any of the live streams if you happen to be watching. But by all means, you're welcome anytime, Simon. You're a good guy, and I think you showed that tonight to the audience, and hopefully some of your subscribers will get to see this and learn that much more about you. So thanks for being who you are.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you to both of you, Vahagan and Chuck. This has been a great experience. Really a pleasure working with people who know how to live stream, know how to communicate. It's a great flow of conversation.
Who'd you work with that can do that?
You'd be surprised. It can be a bit of a dance sometimes. You got people who want to hog the mic and not let go of it.
No, I told you this is just a laid back thing. We're just like a couple guys talking shop. So yeah, post this link to the YouTube live stream to your communities tab, and we'll have people watch it because they'll get a lot out of you. The behind the scenes of who you are. It's very important, you know. And by the way, when I have future guests, I'll email you the link. If you want to just pop in for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and say hello, like Chuck said, you know, we have guests coming in and out. So if let's say I have a future someone I'm interviewing, come in and say hello. No problem.
I will take you up on that offer, both of you, because it's a lot of fun. But I don't believe you when you say 5 or 10 minutes. It'll probably be 60 or more.
Whatever it is.
That's even better.
So Simon, make sure you like and subscribe to both our channels.
I'm going to do that as soon as I'm done here. I'll say hi to my wife first, and then I'll definitely like and subscribe, guys. And thank you so much. And guys, if you're from my channel, definitely like and subscribe Vahagraphy and Chuck AP Studios. As you can tell from here today, these guys are fine gentlemen and great conversationalists.
Thank you. You too. Thank you for everything, Simon. Check out Simon at Ordinary Filmmaker on YouTube. All right, guys. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, sir.
Cheers.
Rock and
Bye-bye.
roll. Hey, what's good, guys? Vahagan here from Vahagraphy. If you like more rockin' videos like this one, go ahead and check the videos on the screen and subscribe to this channel, Vahagraphy. Rock and roll.